Hey, it's Matt, your average gamer, and for this we're going to be focusing on a Samurai Knight build using Unsheathe, which is really awesome, does a fair bit of posture damage and a good amount of damage as well. So for this we grab the Nagakiba because the Nagakiba has a really long reach, and since we're using mainly the charged attack on the Ash of War for maximum damage here, we're going to want to go with the long katana to make sure that we can get our hits in. Gives us a little bit of a longer reach and a wider range to hit bosses and enemies, and it also has really good AR too. The Nagakiba has really good damage on it, scales with strength and dexterity, but we have it on keen to mainly scale with dexterity. As you can see, by the way, we're also using Bloodflame Blade because it goes really well with this. Since this has innate bleed on it and we're using it in keen, we can put Bloodflame Blade on it for more bleed, giving us around 100 bleed and good damage on that charged Ash of War. And speaking of the charged attack, there's a charged and a light attack when you're using Unsheathe. The light attack has 15 posture damage. The heavy attack, though, has 30 posture damage. And in the land of less posture damage, since the recent patches obviously nerfed it a lot, this is actually a good way to get posture breaks while doing substantial damage with the Ash of War. During that fight, the Draconic Tree Sentinel was actually posture break, I believe once or twice. I broke him once or twice. He does have a weird posture break. It's not the normal repost. It's more of just an extra second to do additional damage. But he broke, I think, 1 or 2 times. Typically, throughout a fight, you're going to probably get 1 or 2 posture breaks at most. Obviously, since recent patches, they're a little bit more rare as far as posture breaking enemies, but this is an effective way of doing this. This is something that you can really work on to build up that posture break, to get that critical break, and then obviously the extra damage that you get with the posture break. So that is something to consider here. That's something that's going to help you a lot if you're using this. Definitely go for the charged attack. They both come out pretty fast. The quick attack, the light attack obviously is quicker, it's kind of self-explanatory, but as far as the charged attack, it's not that much longer than the quicker attack, so I found myself kind of spamming the charged attack to build up posture damage, but also to hit enemies for the maximum amount of damage that I can get out of Unsheathe with Bloodflame Blade on it. And as far as the Nagakiba goes, by the way, you can obviously do this with the starting samurai class, and I think a lot of them have Unsheathe on them anyway as far as the katanas go, but for this instance, I really like this because of the reach, the damage that you can get out of it. That 18 strength requirement, I think I may or may not have mentioned that. It's a little bit frustrating to have to reach that if you want to be able to single hand this, but after you hit that 18 strength, you can go with keen, go high dexterity, and you're going to get a lot of damage out of this weapon, a lot of reach out of this weapon, and then you're going to get bleed too with Bloodflame Blade on it. And that's like the big selling point for the katanas here. And this is a very cool weapon too. I really like Unsheathe. I feel like it has a little bit of a Sekiro, I never know how to say it right, vibe. I really enjoyed that game as well. Having that vibe with the katanas here and then having Unsheathe on it. It's really cool to have that move in our arsenal while also being able to do posture damage, substantial amount of damage as well, and then bleed, obviously not to Golden Shade here, but to the majority of bosses in the game. Random note, I just want to mention one thing real quick. If you're not on the Discord, definitely be sure to join the Discord. It's a growing community. There's a ton of people in there. We're doing some fun stuff with it. It's been an absolute blast lately. And then if you're not subbed, definitely be sure to sub to this channel if you love overpowered PvE builds or Elden Ring in general. I'm going to continue making awesome content. Be sure to sub. So in Golden Shade, you'll notice I get beat up a little bit here. I do get hit a bunch of times. It is a little difficult to get this off on him, but he's not a typically difficult boss. Took only one try to beat him. It wasn't too challenging or anything, even on New Game Plus 7. It is just Golden Shade after all, so it's not too big of a deal, and he went down even without being able to proc bleed on him. So for NPC invader types, this actually works really well on them. You're able to stun them with the charged attack, and then obviously you have the light attack, which can come out quick and be very useful in circumstances like these. And you don't even need Bloodflame Blade. You can pretty much mess them up, switching back between the charged and the light attack. Obviously, both of them stun them, which is a really big help in this instance. And you can take them down fairly easy with this. This is a very easy way to take down the majority of NPC invaders or NPC type enemies that can be tough. Next up is Morgott, who obviously we're going to use the Shackle in this instance so we can hit him as hard as possible with the charged attack. I really like this charged version of Unsheathe. It's much better in my opinion than the light attack because you get a little bit more posture damage and it seems to hit really hard too. Morgott's never really that difficult for me or for a lot of people, I think, once they get used to the game because he doesn't have a ton of HP. I think I mentioned that, but it's not just that. It's just he's kind of quick. He's kind of a glass cannon type of a boss, so it's not somebody you're going to be stuck on most of the time but long. He does hit pretty hard and he is quick, but if you're able to get off the attacks In this case, Unsheathe is relatively quick as well. Since we're going for an awesome Samurai Knight build, we have the cool Crucible set on as well that can give us good defense while we're also putting out good DPS as well. Oh, I know what you're thinking. I spammed a lot of the charged RT button. For me on an Xbox, so it would be right trigger. In this instance, though, I want to mix everything up, and I switched out a Talisman here to throw in Rotten Wing and get in fast attacks for bleed, while also getting in charged attacks for the posture damage as well, to see how it all put together. You're going to see as I fight the Magma Worm in Gale Tunnel that we're able to get bleed on him, even though he does have fairly stout resistances. Actually, as far as all the Magma Worms go, they all start, I think, with around 500 base for the bleed, so they have a little bit of a stout resistance to begin with, kind of like the Draconic and Tree Sentinels and whatnot. So they're a little bit resistant to bleed. They have a little bit of resistance, not an incredible amount, enough for us to proc on it, but it really does show how well your build is doing to fight an enemy that's not weak to something in particular. In this instance, we're able to get some bleed on him while also getting a massive posture break here as well too. To no surprise, that is going to end the Magma Worm here because this isn't the most difficult Magma Worm in the game. The one in Gale Tunnel is not too bad. Let's get into equipment. Now for equipment, we have the Nagakiba plus 24 with Unsheathe Ash of War on it, so we can put the Keen Affinity on it and have it scale with Dex. Any seal will do. We have the Crucible Knight set on because it looks really cool with this. Dragoncrest Greatshield Talisman, Lord of Blood's Exultation, Ritual Swords Talisman, Shard of Alexander, then we have the Faith tier, and then the defense tier. The Thorny tier works as well too. This is heavily a dexterity build, so I went for 70 dexterity and 50 vigor. The main thing here that I'm thinking is since we're on Keen, we have that base amount, that strength of 18, and then we went for a good amount of endurance, vigor, and then we went heavy into having that B in dexterity, giving us the maximum amount of damage that we can get pulling from one stat. I really like the Keen Affinity in this instance with Unsheathe, especially since I don't really want to invest in a quality weapon at 150 when we can invest in something that you can do Keen and have the B in Dex. For buffs, this is really simple. We're going to drink our tier first, and then we're going to cast Golden Vow. Blessings Boon's optional. I put that in pretty much all my videos, though. It's a little extra HP and the same requirements you would need for Golden Vow. And then we're going to use Flame Grant Me Strength, Bloodflame Blade, and then we obviously can use Unsheathe for that light attack or that charged attack, get a lot of damage and posture damage out of that charged attack. All right, so in total honesty, this was actually one of the more fun ones that I've done lately. This was an absolute blast. I know I sounded kind of low-key, but I've been having allergy issues, I guess with the weather changes and whatnot. Been like totally messed up. I almost lost my voice again. Just had a cold 2 weeks ago, so it's like the worst timing. But anyways, this was really fun to do. This was another fun build. I really enjoy the whole Crucible Knight Unsheathe thing. The whole Samurai Knight build kind of style is really cool. If you're not on the Discord, by the way, definitely be sure to join that. That's been growing a ton lately. And if you love overpowered PvE builds, be sure to check out all the awesome builds that are on my channel. And as always, I will catch you guys there.